my life is professional wrestling. Like I live for wrestling and I will die for wrestling. And I will die. I'll success or death at this point, you know?
Get rich or die trying.
Yeah.
Yo, what's up, everybody? It's the No Bullshit, Just BullFit podcast. We've got a very special guest today. We've got the Manny Lemons here, pro wrestler and sales extraordinaire. How you doing, brother?
Good, bro. That's right. Zest of the best. You know the rest, baby boy. It's the man, the brand, the king of the lemonade stand live in the BullFit land, baby.
Let's go. Let's go.
I love
BullFit,
it.
baby. Okay, you just got your BullFit in the mail. What do you think, man?
Bro, I actually really dig the supplements, man. I mean, I've taken a lot of pre-workouts. You know, I've tried the other, I won't say the names on air, but they were higher end brands, and the BullFit actually competes with the best out there. Like, I was one of the best pumps I ever had the past 2-3 days I've been in the gym with it.
Yeah.
Ooh, your boy be cooking.
Oh, yeah, let's go.
I love it.
How do you think that's going to help you out with your wrestling?
I mean, wrestling is a very aesthetic sport, so you got to stay in shape, you got to stay fit. I mean, as a professional wrestler, I consider myself to be a professional athlete. So therefore, I need the best supplements on the market in order to help fuel my game. So it's definitely going to take me to the top of that mountain.
Let's go, baby.
I feel like wrestling takes a different level of fitness too.
It
You
does.
guys got to do all sorts of acrobatics and.
Oh, bro, the wrestling's the most contradicting thing in the world. Is because so many people watch it on television, they think it's like the word. You know, I hate to use the word fake, and I think that's the farthest thing away of what we're trying to do. We're out there to tell a story. We're out there to give a performance. You watch Game of Thrones, right?
Of course.
Yeah. Game of Thrones, you know, hate to break it to you, but that's a television show, and that's kind of fake.
I don't believe it, and I never will believe it.
You know what I mean? I mean, but in the same sense, there's a lot of acrobatics and a lot of aesthetics that go into it. I mean, there's a lot of physical combat that goes to it, you know. When you're in the ring and we're trying to beat you up, we're really trying to make it look. So we're throwing real strikes, we're throwing real punches, we're throwing real clotheslines, we're throwing real hits. Falling down is probably the most hardest thing in the world to learn because, you know, I mean, people come to our school all the time and, you know, you're 30 years old, 30 years of your life. When you fall down, your natural instincts to catch yourself, right? In professional wrestling, it's the complete opposite. You learn to take the impact. You learn to take the hits. And just through the time in the journey, you know, you really develop an awareness to it where your body just becomes used to it. So you learn to take the pain. You learn to take the hits, and it just becomes natural.
Yeah, when I was at FitCon and we wrestled Stetson over at Valhalla.
Yeah.
And I worked him.
Yeah.
Man, dude, anytime I try to brace on impact, Stetson's a big dude. He's about 300 pounds.
Yeah.
And just solid. So anytime I braced, I felt like I just hurt myself even more. I just let go.
100%. Hesitation is that's where you get hurt the most, is when you hesitate. You just got to go, take the impact, take the falls, and take the hits.
Dude, I felt it.
And it's the thing is, too, it doesn't happen overnight. It takes years and years and years of doing it. It takes years of owning your craft. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. That's just like in sports. Those, you know, Tom Brady, it took him 20, 30 years to get in the position he's in. You know what I mean? It didn't happen overnight. But that's wrestling. And people watch it on TV and they think, oh, man, I can go out there and do it. Top athletes in the world have failed to do what we do. It's because you got to be passionate. You got to be all in on it. You got to sell it yourself, you know?
Yeah, I was running on adrenaline for like 5 minutes, you know?
Yeah.
And then I had that dump at the end, and I couldn't catch my breath. I was like,
So you should have taken some BullFit before you jumped in the ring.
Exactly.
Oh, dude, I was on like 5 cups that day. I was
mistake.
pretty spracked out.
I know, say FitCon, you're probably jacked to the gills with pre-workouts.
And that was around 4 o'clock, so yeah.
Trying every different ones too, you know?
Oh, yeah. I had been at every like booth too, doing the pull-ups and all that kind of stuff too.
Oh, so you're already worn out, brother. So by the time you got to us, man, you were already
you're
already gassed.
Full-blown workout. But I still won, baby. Let's go.
Heck yeah, I seen it. I was there.
Come on, Stetson. I'm ready for you again.
Hey, we got shows coming up. We got a rematch, right?
Yeah. Let's do it. If he wants it, he's gonna have to come get it.
He's gonna have to come get it.
So how did you get into wrestling originally?
So just like every kid, man, I was a fan of it growing up. I was, you know, it was 1996. Back in the 90s, it was a real big boom of wrestling era. They call it the Attitude Era, where there's two companies, WCW, WWF. Oh, yeah. It's like we're talking to people, and, you know, they can always relate to those characters and those stars of the 90s because that's when wrestling was so hot. 1996, I remember a moment. I was 4 years old. My dad would watch wrestling growing up with his father and his grandfather, and there was a time in 1996 he was watching WCW Nitro, and I don't know if you guys know who Sting is, the guy with the face paint and the crow.
Oh yeah.
Sting was kind of the he was kind of the hero of WCW at the time. And at that time, there was a rebel group called New World Order, which is the NWO, which is the Hogans, the Halls, the Nashes. They were in there clearing house of everyone in the ring, and all of a sudden you just see this vigilante Sting walk through the curtain, and all of a sudden the attention went to him, and they're like, what's Sting doing here? Why is he here? Why has he got a bat? What's he doing? He got in the ring, and 10 of these guys just cleared out of the ring. This guy pretty much just dropped his bat, said let's go to business, and just started clearing house. I just thought that was the coolest moment in the world, man, because it's kind of like
I remember.
Yeah, it was like a bully.
That was awesome.
It's like the bully taking out the bull. Someone taking out all the bullies.
WCW seemed like they were the good guys.
Yep.
And NWO and WWF, I think.
Yeah, WWF. Yeah.
Yeah, were like the bad guys.
Yeah.
And
so WWF was the other wrestling company at the time.
Oh yeah, NWO.
So NWO was
NWO.
Yeah, they were an organization within that would raise havoc.
Oh yeah, I apologize.
No,
I remember now. It's all coming back to me. Yeah.
But it was that time, man, and I just I don't know. I just thought it was the coolest thing in the world, and you just feel the crowd erupt, and you feel that emotion, and I think any time, man, when you can hold the attention of the audience in the palm of your hands and feel that emotion, that's power, man. And at that time, I felt it, and I've connected ever since. And tell you what, man, professional wrestling is an euphoric drug that every time you go out through that curtain, you feel the audience, you feel them connecting with what you're doing, and they're believing what you're doing. It's a high. It's an indescribable high. It is a high. Like I can't get away from it. That's why I've drawn so much to it, and that's why I've completely given my life to the business, because I freaking love it. I love that feeling every single time I can perform.
That's awesome. So when did you come up with Manny Lemons? Where did that name originate from?
So I started wrestling in 2012. I was trained. It's funny because actually this weekend is my 12-year anniversary. May 5th, Cinco de Mayo 2012 was the first time it was actually walked into wrestling school. And, just like anybody else, man, who doesn't know wrestling, I walked into a wrestling school and didn't really know what I was getting myself into. I went in there with one of my best friends and said, hey, I'm going to go try to be a wrestler. And they're like, oh, cool, whatever. I'll come support you, come watch it or whatever. But I went there, and my first day of training, I got dropped on my head. And it was the bumps and stuff we were trying to teach you guys at FitCon, But, I got dropped on my head. So
how did you get dropped on your head?
So what I was trying to do what is called a flip bump, and I was a heavier set person back then, so I couldn't really flip. So my flip went straight into a dart, so I landed on my head. Ooh. But ever since that day, it was it hurt. I mean, I didn't really do anything bad, but I'm still doing it to this day. But that's where my journey kind of started. At that time, my first gimmick name was Manny Fresh, because growing up, my name's Manny, so my brother would always call me Manny Fresh. Manny Fresh is similar to the rapper. And just through the time and transitioning, you kind of grow and build your brand. You kind of see what works with you. Manny Lemons came when I was working with a company. They're one of the larger companies. I want to say the equivalent of AAA is right now to baseball, to MLB. It's called Ring of Honor. Ring of Honor I was actually working with them, and they were interested in signing me at the time, but we couldn't really figure out what a gimmick was to work with. But the people, Kevin Kelly, I don't know if you guys ever remember back in the Attitude Era, the guy who was always interviewing The Rock. He was the guy holding the microphone or whatnot. He's actually the one who gave me the name Manny Lemons.
Oh, very cool.
So he was one of the executive producers for Ring of Honor. He didn't remember my last name, but he remembered my first name was Manny, and he remembered I wore a bright yellow shirt like I'm wearing today. Mm-hmm. And he says, so they kept calling me Manny Lemons through the tryout. And then just after the tryout, when I was getting my critiques or whatnot, he's just like, why don't you run with something like that? And at the same sense, man, you think Lemons is stupid, I don't want to be when you're a wrestler, man, you want to be something cool like Batman, you know what I mean? Something to that extent. You don't want to be
Undertaker.
Undertaker, Steve Austin. You think John Cena, all those cool names. You don't want to be Manny Lemons. But I really was like, whatever, I want a job here. I'm going to do whatever it takes to get a job here. So I'm going to really invest in this gimmick and go all in. So he gave me the graphic designer to create these logos or whatnot who did for Ring of Honor. And the first show I ever did it, I got a reaction that I never got before, and I realized that it connected with the audience, and more particularly with the kids. So when I bite, Manny Lemons is spinach to Popeyes, lemons are to Manny, bite the sour, get the power. Yeah. So when I bit the lemon, I hulked up, and I defeat my opponent. But the audience was able to really connect with it, and they really felt it. And they really felt in that moment when I bit that lemon, I really got superpowers. So ever since that day, man, it's just something that really stuck with me, and it really kind of hit. And we kind of evolved with it. Catchphrases come here and there, zest of the best, baby, the rest. But, all these catchphrases and whatnot kind of just came intertwined, and it just really developed into becoming a brand. And I'm forever humble that I did make that decision, because there are a lot of people that didn't believe it would work. And here we are today working now,
That's awesome.
What's that like, having kids look up to you? I've seen your Instagram is full of little kids, just You got a fan base there, and it's so cool to see.
It's humbling, man, because I mean, I am a father too, like most of us here. And, really be able to connect with that youth and be a role model. I think that was really like the coolest thing about what I do is if I can get those little kids to go tell the story and go tell their parents and tell their friends and families that they were able to meet Manny Lemons, then I did my job as a professional. And again, what we do in our industry is to connect with an audience and, all shapes, sizes, and ages. And that's the audience that leans more towards my character. It's my role and my responsibility now to give them the best of my abilities every time I perform, so they can go tell the story to their friends at school. So Monday morning at recess, they're talking about Manny Lemons. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's the coolest feeling in the world. And it's undescribable. It really is. Like, it's hard to describe. It's a euphoric high. Yeah. You just want it more and more, and you want to build it more and more, and you want to make this thing as big as possible, and that's my goal now.
And be able to connect with people on a large scale.
Yeah.
That's powerful.
Yeah, because, just like everyone else, man, no one's self-made. We all had to start somewhere. We all really developed. If you believe in something, you stand in line and fight, and you fight for it, and you continue to fight, and you continue to build it, you continue to believe in it. And if you don't believe in yourself, how are these people going to believe in you? You know what I mean?
I love that.
If my goal is to be at the top of this industry, if I don't believe that in my heart of hearts, no, how are you guys going to believe that here today? You know what I mean? How is my fans going to believe that? No. I believe who I am because I worked my tail off to get to that position, and I love it, man. I can't explain it. Like, wrestling's the coolest thing in the world, and it's in a boom right now. That's the best thing about it is we're in a hot era right now, and it's the greatest time in the world to be a wrestling fan.
How are you
love it.
seeing like the boom transition? What was it like before? What is it like now?
So the Attitude Era, we go back to the Attitude Era in the 90s. I'd say that's kind of wrestling's hotbed. The 2000s, I think wrestling didn't really have a competition because back then they had two companies, so people were fighting for their lives. They were fighting for their jobs. So when you have competition, it creates the best form of entertainment, in my opinion.
And you're talking about WWF and WCW.
Yep. So at the year 2000s, like WWE was the only thing, so they were competing with themselves, so you kind of become complacent. So the product becomes kind of stagnant in a sense, you know what I mean? So now this time period where wrestling, we've gone through the pandemic era and all these other wrestling companies are booming up and it's starting to become popular again. It's really making WWE step their game up. So once they step their game up, everyone else steps their game up. Like the indies, so the company, the scene I'm in right now is called independent wrestling. That scene's on fire, man. I'm wrestling all the time. But 5 years ago, that wasn't the case, Like I was this weekend, I have 5 wrestling shows in Utah this weekend. And like a lot of people don't know about that. But that wouldn't happen 5 years ago. But the business has grown so much that everyone's starting to see it and they're starting to capitalize it. They're starting to create something. So it's a hot
exciting.
time. Yeah, it's an exciting time.
That's incredible.
I get goosebumps talking about it.
Yeah, it's awesome.
You know what I mean?
So how do you prepare for these matches? What kind of trainings are you doing? Weightlifting, cardio? Obviously practicing the wrestling moves and the skills, but what do you focus on?
So, I'm a big football guy. I played football. I was an all-state wide receiver from Kearns in 2010. I really thought back then, football was going to be my be-all, end-all. Just, I think like all of us, sports was it. Football really taught me a lot. It taught me to be in the gym, to be disciplined. People, being in the gym teaches you a lot. It teaches you how to be disciplined and stick to your diet, stick to your regime. I'm in the gym twice a day. I train like a professional athlete. Go in the morning, I'll hit some cardio, I'll do an hour on the Stairmaster, then I'll do my core workouts. Next that night I'll go hit individual muscle, I'll hit bicep, triceps, depending on whatever it is, legs. And then we train 3 times a week in the ring, so that third workout's going to be something in the ring or teaching my students to be better in the ring. Okay. So it's a constant grind, and you're always got to go do it. It's not easy to wake up at 5 a.m. to go to the gym, but you make an excuse or you make it happen. And this is something I've done for legitimately 10, 12 years, and it's carried over from my athletic endeavor, which I mentioned, is I've learned that through sports. All my workouts and everything I do is strictly like football workouts. So I'm training like a professional athlete.
One thing I think that's unique with wrestling, unlike a bodybuilder where it's all about looks, unlike an athlete where it's about performance, you have to look a certain way, but you have to perform at the top of the game as well. So you're literally combining multiple areas and having to put it into one kind of training regimen.
And that's true, man, because like I said, look at WWE, they have the whole NIL thing now. They're trying to train the top athletes in the world, and a lot of those top athletes come to our world, they can't do what we do. It's because there's a certain art to what we do, where yes, there is an aesthetic look where you have to look the part, which most athletes do, that's why they target it, but there's also that theatrics to it too. Charisma is king. If you're not charismatic and you don't believe who you are and what you're doing, no one's going to buy what you're selling. And that's the lost art of the industry that we're in, is that you think of John Cena, He's a brand.
Oh yeah.
And he looks like $1 million. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you think of The Rock, he's a brand. He looks like $1 million. The Undertaker, he's a brand. All these guys have created their own brand, and they've done it through their aesthetics training. They've done it through the lifting, the in-ring training. All of that all kind of blends together, and that's how you create yourself to be a star in a sense.
Very cool.
Do you do acting training at all?
Oh yeah, you have to, because it's like the most scariest thing in the world to do is put a camera in front of your face.
Oh yeah.
And you freeze. Like, you know what I mean? Like, a lot of people do it, and it's one of those things.
We've been there.
Yeah, like
me
it's
and
like
Ben do it every time we go on a news station. It's like for 5 seconds.
yeah, and it's nerve wracking. It's nerve wracking. Lights, cameras, action. But when you do it constantly, it's practice how you play. When you're constantly in front of the camera, and you're constantly talking, you're constantly putting yourself out there, then you're going to become more comfortable in what you say, and you're not going to be scared to be talking in front of the camera like we're doing right now. It's just the way it is. I mean, I get nervous all the time. You know
Do you
what I mean?
chase that now?
Kind of, in a sense, you know.
Yeah, that
like,
adrenaline rush?
Yeah, like it's like, because that's the only way you get better. If we're not putting ourselves in uncomfortable situations, how are we growing?
I love that.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's life, sports, wrestling. That's everything in life. So you have to be uncomfortable in order to grow. And if you're not doing that, then you're just going to stay stagnant. You're never going to grow. You're never become bigger.
Okay, so you're training wrestling 3 times a week, and you're working out every day, twice a day.
Yeah.
Okay, that's crazy.
This is like my dream job right here. Oh, gosh, sounds amazing.
Duh, it's so easy. You just have to join.
Just got to be
Right.
What's the company?
Devotion Championship Wrestling is our
Devotion
company.
Championship Wrestling.
We run a wrestling school too called the Al Snow Wrestling Academy, where yes, we do train the future stars of wrestling. So you guys would be perfect for our regime, because we're always looking for aspiring athletes just like the 3 of you. So
I love it. I love it.
That's great.
But it is a challenge, like you're saying. I remember hearing, I think it was Kurt Angle talk about how difficult it was for him to get in.
yeah.
I think they made him an offer and he turned it down.
Yep.
I don't know if I'm getting this right.
No,
And then he tried to come back like 6 months later, and it was taken off, and they said, all right, you can try out now.
Yeah.
It's like, what? Try out? I'm the greatest Olympic
He's an
wrestler
Olympic-
ever.
Yeah.
But it was
Gold
even
medalist 2
he
times?
Yep.
had to go, learn a lot to
Yeah.
make it.
Well, that was the thing too. I think it was this dispute of him coming in. He's like, well, if I come in, I can't lose. And he's like, well, you don't understand the art form of what we do. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Like so that was like the dispute going in. And then eventually he came back and became one of the biggest stars. But he had to completely surrender himself to it in order to be that. You know what I mean?
Totally.
There's so many egos in wrestling, and you have to really put your ego aside and say, yes, I'm okay with being. Everyone wants to be the cool guy, but you know what? There's only one spot for that. You know what I mean? I'm okay with being Manny Lemons, being the sideshow at times, and that's okay with me. But at the same sense, there's some shows where I'm the guy, that I'll own being the guy. And it's just kind of a different formula where you just kind of fit. It's like a circus or a zoo. There's one of every animal.
Totally.
And whatever animal you go to aspire to be, yeah, the tigers are more entertaining than the monkeys, but this monkey could do this and a tiger can't do that, so it's going to attract this person and that person. You know what I mean? So it's just a circus. We're a traveling circus, man.
I love it, man.
That analogy is blowing my mind.
It's the reality though. Like, it's like I say, like life and wrestling are pretty much the same thing, and people don't know that, because like a lot of people don't know anything about wrestling. Like, you guys are probably learning about wrestling for the first time speaking to me here today. There's just so many people that you talk to on a regular basis, and they just don't understand, and that's okay. But that's my job and my role now, is to make them understand, or try to explain to them how it works. You know what I mean? And if they don't get it, then they don't get it. We move on to the next one. But I think wrestling fans today, our goal is to create a casual viewers. We're trying to aspire new fans. We're trying to build our industry and make it bigger, because that's the only way it's going to ever thrive. And that's why WWE is thriving now, is because they went away from worrying about wrestling fans to start start getting those casual viewers, treating it more like a Game of Thrones versus MMA, if that makes sense. But
That's a really cool opportunity as well.
yeah,
I mean, when you look at other sports, they're already big. It's just trying to fit in.
Exactly.
You have the opportunity to help an industry grow and become better than it was in the 90s even.
yep. And I think that's where my role is now, man, is leave it better than you found it.
Love it.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, if I'm not helping this next generation become bigger and become better, then what am I doing this for, man? Like, I want my son and my grandchildren to aspire off this industry. You know what I mean? Long when I'm gone.
Yeah, it's so cool.
Just building it up.
How does it work for like you getting invited over to one of the wrestling organizations,
Like the bigger companies.
Yeah, how does that work?
So I mean, I've had my foot in the door. Like, I mean, I do a lot of work with WWE and AEW. I had a run with TNA, which is probably the AAA of the wrestling world. I was there for about a year.
It's broadcasted.
Yeah, it's on television,
On
on Access.
Yeah.
They're on Access. WWE's on USA. AEW's on TNT and TBS.
That's cool.
To be honest with you, man, it's just the reality of just creating a brand. And like I said, if you can make these bigger companies money, they will invest in you and they will pay you to be there. But if you can't, like, then what's the difference between hiring me and some average Joe on the street who looks the part and can make them money in the future? You know what I mean? I got to bring something to the table. I can't just expect to get hired and not bring something. And what I bring to the table is my charisma, my ability. Yeah, I'm not the biggest guy, but I can tell you right now, when I walk out that arena, I can command the attention like no other else.
You got a good energy.
Yeah,
I mean, we can feel the energy when you're
absolutely.
explaining and talking about the sport.
But it took 12 years to get there. You know what I mean? Like I said, don't forget, like, there's 12 years of, like, the sacrifice and suffering. I mean, I had to move across the country. I had to leave my son. You know what I mean? Like, there's all these things I had to do to get to that point that people don't know about. But at the end of the day, that's why I own my space, because I worked my tail off to get to that position. You know what I mean? We all had different roads to get here today. Like, you had a different road than me. But we all come here for this common interest because you guys created something, and you're able to let me project that story to a casual viewers, to the audience, you know? So that's the cool thing. And that's the thing I love about doing stuff like this is let's create new fans and build this together, because it's going to take a community to really get it out there, to build it, you know?
That's powerful. I think people resonate with the different stories and paths and the characters that you build. I mean, look how people are freaking out with the Undertaker coming back.
Yeah.
Oh, is he coming back?
He
The
did
Undertaker was just like a week or two ago.
Yeah, he did a cameo at Mania where he came in and choke slammed The Rock. So, like, they were
crazy.
Yeah,
That's
they were doing.
awesome.
That's like WWE did this whole thing where they had this whole 2-year storyline where Cody Rhodes is the top guy now and Roman Reigns is the anti.
Oh, did Cody Rhodes beat The Rock? What happened with that?
So Cody Rhodes beat Roman Reigns to become champion. So
Yeah.
The Rock and him now are going to potentially feud, and I don't know.
Okay, that's coming up, though.
Yeah, they're building to that.
Because Roman Reigns is The Rock's cousin, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and that dude
Makes
became a
sense.
star, man. But then again, like, look at him, man. He was in WWE for 10 years, and
Wow.
it took him, 8 years at the top to finally get it. And the dude literally put the industry in a whole nother atmosphere.
Wow.
You're talking about Cody Rhodes?
Roman Reigns.
Oh, Roman Reigns.
Cody
Gotcha.
too. It's funny too because Cody Rhodes is my coach.
Oh, he is?
Yeah,
no
so
way.
I actually
he's a stud,
when
dude.
I moved
That's
to
cool.
I moved to Georgia during the pandemic to go train out of the Nightmare Factory, and Cody Rhodes, QT Marshall, and Glacier were the coaches there, and I was able to gain knowledge from the guy who's now the face of our industry.
Wow.
So
That's huge.
There's a lot of ties to what we have and what I was able to create. But that's, again, like, I was able to get that knowledge. Now it's time for me to come back and bestow that knowledge on my school, on my people, to help elevate their game and make them better and to achieve their dreams and goals.
That's awesome.
And if somebody was going
Love
to
it.
explore that opportunity, how do they go about that?
Yeah, so I mean, like I said, I'm the owner of the Al Snow Wrestling Academy and Devotion Championship Wrestling, local here in Utah. Basically, the best way to contact is just come in for a tryout, man. We run trainings Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays out of Light Tree Studios. It's like 1700 South and 740 West in Salt Lake. You just got to come try it out. And that's the thing, too, is so many people are like, oh, I'll do when I'm ready. Man, I was a fat little 19-year-old kid when I first started, and we were kidding on the road about this weekend about the pictures of how I looked and how I had a body transformation. But, like, you're never going to truly be ready. And if you wait for the opportunity to be ready, you'll never pursue it. You'll never go for it. You have to. The only way to grow is to be uncomfortable and just go for it.
You'll get ready by doing it.
Yeah, get ready by doing it. You'll grow
Yeah.
through the process. And so just come on out. Like I said, we're offered tryouts. We're looking for talent all the time. You just have to be passionate about it, though, and you have to really invest and believe in the art. Like, we're training referees, wrestling personnels, wrestlers. Like, we have the whole works. Like, we run a television studio show similar to this right out of Salt Lake.
Very cool.
I could be a heckler.
Heck yeah, you could.
Yeah, I think I got that down. It's like, you're nothing.
Brother, you're going to kill half my roster, though. You're bigger than 90% of them.
Oh, thanks.
I'm just kidding.
What a great compliment. I knew I was.
But that's because you
I
have
love having you on.
You have a look and a physique, you know what I mean? Like, that you created that, and like that's your brand,
Yeah.
in a sense.
So you went to Georgia and you trained with Cody Rhodes.
Yeah.
And is that when you went across the country to leave your son? That's
Yeah.
You did that during that time period.
Yeah. So during the pandemic, we all know nothing was really going on, and I think it was just one of those times. I think it was just my place and my time to, like, if you're really gonna do it, you got to go for it. And you got to make those risks. That scariest thing in the world, man, is, like I said, I'm a full-time dad. I was a father when I was 17. My son's 14 now.
Oh,
when
goodness.
I left into Atlanta, was it 4 years ago, 2020? Yeah. He's 10 years old. Those are crucial years. But at the same sense, like, I think my son is learning through me that if you want something, you go out and get it. So therefore, you got to take the risk. You know, like it's living 2 years on an iPhone, and having a relationship with a son that was in your life since the day he's born is very rough. It's tough.
Oh yeah,
But it's
a
like,
huge sacrifice.
but it's a sacrifice we make. There's a sacrifice to greatness, and sometimes it's our own pleasures.
yeah.
I think too, one of the biggest disadvantages we can do to our kids, because I've got kids, is giving up on your dream. I mean, if they see you give up on your dream, but you tell them, oh, go for it, like you got it,
Yep.
but they're watching what you do,
Yeah.
they're going to follow that example more so than maybe what you say.
100%. And that's the thing too. Now I'm in a different, like, I want to say like I'm like superstar, but I treat myself as a superstar, you know? So anytime I go to my son's games, people will come up to me, they know me as the wrestler, you know what I mean? They've watched me on television, like they've seen my work, and they're just like, I could see a smile on his face, because it's a sense of pride to see, look, this could be you if you go all out for it, you know what I mean? But I mean, we're not done yet. Like I'm telling you right now, I'm the guy for the industry, and I'll be in the top of this industry for the next 10 years. You know what I mean? Like I'm not, like
I love
that's
it.
my legacy.
You heard it here.
100%.
That's my legacy right now.
Right here on BullFit, guys.
Yeah.
You know, like we got so
You're the
much things
man.
cooking, man, and it's like I'm humbled now. I think everything happens for a reason. There's a lot of people that have come my life, and they're now gone now, but everything happens for a reason, and now we're looking at that light where it's like, it's go time, you know. And like I say, I think in 3 years we're gonna have a different conversation, you know, and like really talk about things. You know what I'm saying?
So
like,
we got to have you back on the show.
Exactly,
and
yeah,
go
yeah.
over, right?
I love
give me a year. Give me a year.
Okay.
Give me a year.
We love it.
We're cooking though.
That's
And what's
awesome.
with Pit Viper?
So Pit Vipers, so I got to put him over. So King Goots, I don't know if you've seen, maybe it wasn't a thing, but he's actually the Montauk mascot for the beer company, the Cold Snacks. He's on the beer can. If you guys have ever seen that, I don't.
Wait, who is this?
King Goots, he's actually our PA ring announcer. He's in our bar fights champion.
Okay.
He dresses up as he.
What does he have to do with Pit Viper?
He works for Pit Viper, and he's pretty much like, so through, like, that's the thing too about creating a brand and awareness through, like, he came to our shows back in 2020, I want to say, during the pandemic. He would show up in like a king gown, you know, like he had a presence to himself, and I was like, do you do something other than, like, you know? He's like, yeah, I used to PA for the Bees. Oh, well, we're looking for a PA announcer, you know, we're looking for a ring announcer. And then, like, he just, you know, he was very charismatic, he was very engaging, he could talk in the microphone, so he started ring announcing for us. But like, I didn't know like anything too much about Pit Viper at the time, which, you know, a lot of people are like, oh yeah, Pit Viper's like, yeah, the Goots gave him to me or whatever. But through his time, he's now our DCW bar fights champion, which is kind of one of our bar shows where it's a title, but it's more of a gimmick for him. Mm-hmm. Where the title, he only defends the title via rock paper scissors or a drink off or something, you know what I mean? It's not an actual wrestling match. Champion's choice is what we call it. So he's been able to hold that title, for win it and lose it back to back for so long. But he's created a brand for himself where now he's on beer cans, and he's basically the face of Pit Viper now. Like he's the plug. He's like on all Pit Viper social media. He's that king guy if you guys would see him on there.
Very cool.
But he created that brand for himself, and he did it through just like the wrestling scene was able to, we gave him a platform to do it. He did the work to do it, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. And that's him believing in himself and really knowing that he can go out there and be something more than just a PA guy. You know what I mean? Like, he's on a beer can, he's facing Pit Viper. Those are valuable companies, you know what I mean? Montucky is what? Are they local? I think they're local.
Montucky,
right?
what is
Montucky Cold Brew? Cold Snacks, the beer company.
Yeah, I think it's local.
Yeah, they're
Utah.
local, yeah. So they're, but I mean, like, that's pretty cool, man. How many times could you say that you're facing on a beer can, you know? That's cool.
Yeah, it's
like,
pretty
I'm like, man, that's cool. I want that. But you know what I mean? Like, good for him.
Yeah.
And like, now he's the guy who gives us the hookups on the Pit Vipers. He takes us to the warehouses all the time, man. We'll have to get you guys down there for
It's
sure.
a cool
That's
brand.
Yeah.
Really like Pit Viper a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel bad.
No
I should have
offense.
brought more shades.
Yeah. No, I think we're good. We're solid.
Yeah.
I mean, me and Ben are gonna wear these for the rest of our life. So
Yeah.
hopefully
Yeah.
we got more at home.
yeah, you're good, brother.
Yeah.
Those are
I'm gonna
yours.
shower in these.
Yeah, they're
Sleep in
waterproof,
'em.
right?
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. But no, I think it's just wrestling. Everything is just creating your brand and creating awareness, you know. So if no one knows who you are, no one's going to buy what you're selling. And it's up to us as individuals to really showcase who we are. And how do we do that? We do that with our performance. Mm-hmm. You know, you're given 5-6 minutes on TV. Some people complain, well, I only have 3 minutes. Well, you better do the best of you in those 3 minutes, because if not, that's 3 minutes of television time. That's 3 minutes of an audience seeing you. People pay to come see you wrestle. Give them the best of your abilities at that time in those moments.
Oh, I love that.
Because wrestling's all about moments.
Yeah.
Like you said, we talked about The Undertaker. That was a moment that we're talking about. You were a fan of The Undertaker 20 years ago, and then you got to see it again.
Yeah,
and now you're
yeah.
talking about it a month later almost, you know? But like
Yeah.
that's what it is. That's what wrestling is giving us those moments to go tell our friends and families about. And
that's like Game of Thrones, like you're saying.
Exactly.
I mean, decades of building up that story in just a small moment, and we all lost our freaking minds.
Yeah.
Who is your inspiration, or who is your like hero wrestler?
So Sting was my all-time favorite. But I mean, as I kind of grown up, I just have like fans of like everyone. Like I'm a big Hogan guy. Like Hulk Hogan was like I love. That's where probably the boas and all that glasses kind of come from. I'm a big John Cena guy too, because I think John Cena is the greatest star of all time because he carried WWE when it wasn't cool. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? That period of the 2000s, man. Like,
that's true.
He literally put it on his back.
The Rock was busy with movies and
Rock
stuff.
was gone. Steve Austin was gone. Like all these guys were gone, so he had to elevate the company on his own. Even keeping it at like where it is now, like he's responsible for that. You know.
That's
I heard he's
true.
the like the #1 Make-A-Wish wish granter of all time as well.
And I've got to work with Cena on TV too. He's a genuine good person, you know.
How did you work with him?
So I do a lot of extra work with WWE. So like we just a few segments that like I was like a security personnel for him or whatnot. But like there's a few snaps that like you see me on TV with them. So like I kind of use that as my Tinder profile. I'm just kidding. but for real. But like
He was full-time security guard.
yeah, you know, like. And it's on television, yeah, you know, because the television, WWE, like, it's tough to like just go in there and say you're going to go be Manny Lemons. No, when I'm at that company, I'm at the bottom of the barrel now, so now I got to work my way up, you know. So I got any job they need me to do, I just kind of do it. It's FaceTime, it's TV time, you know. 2 million, 3 million people get to see your face, like that's valuable, that's power, you know. That's exposure I wouldn't get if I would say, nah, that's not me, that's not going to work for me. No, I'm a team player. Whatever you need me for, coach, I'm ready to play.
It's an awesome mindset.
Yeah,
That's
you have
sweet.
to. Because at the end of the day, your time's going to come, and when it comes, that's when you run with the ball. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Hey, did the Undertaker come out in a Harley?
You
Like
used
he
to,
used
yeah.
to?
No,
When he came back?
No, because this last one was kind of like the lights went out, and he just kind of appeared in the ring. So he did
That's
that.
cool.
Yeah.
Heard the
Hear
gong, and everyone
yeah.
freaked out.
Yeah, it was a cool
Yeah.
moment. They were saying it was supposed to be Steve Austin, which it was supposed to be, but
Oh, it was?
something didn't happen. Yeah, something with the contract didn't
wow.
happen or work out. So
His neck's a little jacked up, right, from the Owens brother?
no, yeah. Well, he's just years and years.
Tombstone or something
Yeah,
like that?
years and years of just doing it, man. And one bad move he took, it really ruptured him for life. You know, that's why I said, I mean, we're giving our trust to our opponents, our bodies. You know, that's why you have to train to be a wrestler. There's so many people that say, "Oh, I don't need to do that," or I need to train once a year. It's like, no, like if you miss cue and I slip, I could break my neck. You know what I mean? Like that's how close the people are of getting paralyzed, and it's literally like that.
Wow.
And that's why
You
training
have
is
to really
crucial.
trust your partners. Or do you call them wrestling
Yeah,
partners,
opponents,
sparring?
partners. Yeah,
Okay.
I'd say opponent would be more the word.
Opponent.
Yeah.
Your opponent. You have to trust them.
That's what it is. Like, and it is like you're giving your opponent your body, and at the same sense, we're kind of taking our own falls, but in reality, they kind of give you a guide. If they're not giving you that guide, you could slip off their shoulder and fall. It's a work.
So when prepping for the matches, do you actually prep with opponent, or do you guys just go in and just rely on your skills, memorizing what to do, like how to fight, how to fall?
I'm at a stage now where I think everything I kind of do is just on the fly.
No way.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
It's like all the skill sets that
That's
I've
where
taken.
I'm at.
It's like, it took years to get to that though. Like, because like the problem is when you worry about move, you're thinking spot. You take yourself out of the moment.
Yeah.
And so when I take myself out of the moment, I forget to connect with the audience, and the audience can sense that and they can pick up on that. So now we're just out there doing acrobatics. But if I go out there and utilize the move set, utilize the skills that I was trained to do, and just kind of call it while we're out there and give them that real organic reaction, that stuff's more powerful than anything.
It's cool.
Because, when you're on TV, you want to plan spots here and there. You want to plan hiccups here and there. I mean, or little things here and there. But, I mean, at the same sense, if you're planning everything, all you're worried about is that next spot, and you're forgetting to talk and connect with the audience.
Yeah.
So, therefore, yes and no. I mean, at first, obviously, you got to. You got to get the moves down. So, you got to plan the spots. You got to, if you're green, I'm definitely going to say, let's do this, let's do that. You know what I mean? But if it's someone who's been working a while and I know they could take this move and they know I could take that move, I know their move set, and they know my move set, let's go out there and tell a story, man. Let's go have fun with it. Let's give these audience a show, you know what I mean? There's so many times we'll be in the ring with people, you just tell them, like you want to call it? It's like, nah, we got it, But, like, because, like, I know in my ability I can get people through a match. So, like, when I see their scared face, like, I use that as a challenge. It's like, I'm going to get this guy from a match, you know what I mean? And we do. We do it all the time.
That's sick.
No one knows you mess up unless you stop. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many times. Like, I see mess ups all the time, but the audience doesn't. So it's such a split second, where it's like, oh, okay. You know what I mean? If you're constantly moving, you're constantly engaging, you're constantly working, You ain't gonna know it. Fake it till you make it, you know?
It's incredible. So you guys really are masters of improv, both with the acting and the moves, it seems like.
In a sense, yeah. That's why you can see so many people transition from Hollywood to wrestling, but you never can see actors transition to wrestling.
Oh, that's a good point.
It's because it's like it's hard. Like it's physical combat.
I mean, I did see Karl Malone step into the wrestling.
Oh, that's right, dude. And
Malone and Rodman.
maybe basketball is
Back
the
in the
next
90s.
Bro, yeah. So
the
like
next training ground for the wrestlers.
But Malone
But
was a
they
huge,
look so impressive because they're so dang tall.
yeah.
And they can do 1 or 2 matches and just look incredible.
Yeah, and they kept it to what they could know and what they can do. They didn't expose too much of the business, you know what I mean? Like that's the funny thing too is Malone was a huge wrestling fan.
Oh, that's cool.
We ran our 4-year anniversary here in December 2022. We had, you guys know Diamond Dallas Page?
Yeah.
So Diamond Dallas Page and Eric Bischoff were here. We were this close to getting Malone to show up because I wanted to have like that image of like DDP and Malone in the ring again since 1998.
Yeah, because that was his partner.
Yep.
Wow.
So like we were like this close. We had everyone calling him, man. Like he just wanted to do it just because he just was trying to stay out of the public eye. But like, man, that would have been a cool moment. But like I said, like he was passionate about the artwork. That's why he took the time to really learn to do the moves, and that's why he was really good at it for what it was. You know,
Yeah,
like
for
to
sure.
sit there and say like he's a 5-star wrestler. No, but if you look at it like that, no, you look at he's an entertainer out there entertaining the audience. That was the highest paid pay-per-view ever. Was Rodman and Malone.
Oh,
Like,
really?
Yeah, because I mean, you
That's
got
really-
you had Sports Kid, you had freaking. They were on every
What
newspaper.
about Mankind and
And it was a
Undertaker? I feel like
legitimate-
that was huge.
It was a good match. Yeah, don't take away from any of like the rest. I'm just talking about like we want this industry to grow, so you got to think about what's getting eyes on the product.
Yeah.
And those two people from this basketball world, they, you
Oh,
know, you gotta
Jazz
think-
and the Bulls.
Jazz
They
and
were
the Bulls
rivals
like
right
it was
there,
the
like,
hottest rivalry in
Rivals,
the
I think
world.
they genuinely hated each other
Yeah,
too.
and they brought it to the wrestling
Yeah.
ring, and that's what got the people's attention. They were smart when they did it. They knew what they were doing, but that's what got people invested into it. You know.
I heard Rodman, I guess on The Last Dance, or somewhere, I heard somewhere that Rodman didn't even tell anybody. He's just like,
He just
went, skipped practice.
Man, I know that's funny.
It was worth
It was
it.
during the finals too, huh? I think it
I
was.
believe
yeah.
so.
Because I remember seeing that because he said what Rodman went to go play wrestle with Hollywood Hulk Hogan versus coming to practice.
Yeah. What a stud. The
But-
worm.
yeah.
Way to go.
But
He's
that's
just such a hard worker. He could get
Yeah.
away with that.
that's the thing too is he actually like he really owned the craft of that the time he was in it. You know what I mean? Any of these celebrities that come in to do it, look at Logan Paul. He's killing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he's freaking.
What do you think about
he's-
his?
He's phenomenal, man. He's a hell of an athlete, and he's out there killing it. But because he took time to learn the artwork, Bad Bunny did the same thing. Bad Bunny had a match Backlash, I think
really?
last year, yeah. But he really learned the craft. Then he went out there and performed it. To sit there and say like it was phenomenal, it was phenomenal for what it was. If you go in there with the mindset, oh, this dude's gonna have a match of the century. No, you got to go in there as a performance. You know what I mean? An audience, the fact that he was able to do what we were able to do in a short amount of time, that just shows you that WWE is the top product in the world. To be able to train your guys to get them that good, that's phenomenal.
Totally.
It takes years and years and years of owning your craft. In a matter of months, they made him ring ready. You know, that's phenomenal for them.
It's incredible. I remember seeing Logan Paul do like a backflip off of the ring or
Yeah.
something crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a great athlete, wasn't he? Like a collegiate all-state wrestler or something like
Yeah.
that, all-American.
Yeah, all American. But again, like he admits, he's like, man, this is the hardest thing I ever had to do.
Yeah.
Because again, you're taking the athleticism, the charisma, you're putting it all in a blender and trying to make it work.
Wow, that's a lot for someone.
And there's
who-
not like a guidance for like every one of these athletes that are at the top, like the Triple H's, the John Cena's, the Rocks. They had to find their own formula for the best of themselves. No one went in there and said, you're going to be this, you're going to be that. When you do that, it's not real genuine. You know what I mean? And that's why a lot of these other personas that they try don't work because they're not really believing who they are in their performance, and you can see it.
They grow
It's
into
true.
it.
Yeah,
great
you just
point.
kind of grow an awareness to it, and you just keep going with it. You know?
Are you
that
following?
authenticity.
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah.
come
You
through,
can't fake authentic. Like you're real or you're not. Mm-hmm. And you can see that based on the performance we're giving.
Are you following Jake Paul and Mike Tyson? So I'm bringing it up again. It's changed quite a bit.
Yeah.
So now it's a pro fight. It's a real fight.
Okay.
Before it wasn't.
Yeah, there was all these
was
rules
just-
before, huh?
All these rules. It wasn't even real. But now Jake Paul, I think, was like, I don't know what it is, but something changed, and now it's a pro fight.
I think he probably got tired of all the people online. Well, it's not a real fight, you know what I mean? Like it's just one of those things. I think it's phenomenal that he has the guts to go do it, man. Because that's Mike Tyson, you know what I mean? Like that's the
Yeah.
greatest of
Yeah.
all time. It's funny because it's like you could see like our generations we're Mike Tyson guys, but like my son is Jake Paul guy. And you're like,
Oh.
bro, he's getting smoked. I don't care what you say. You see Tyson's videos?
Oh, yeah.
My boy's training like a madman.
And he looks good.
looks
He
phenomenal.
moves well.
It's like, I don't care how old he
Kind of
is.
scary how good he looks.
Yeah. I don't care how old he is. That's Mike Tyson. Like,
Roy Jones said he still hits like a donkey, kicking you.
really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, Tyson said himself that he's starting to get scared of himself because the old Mike Tyson, the Iron Mike, is coming back.
We're going to get one last run from him, man. Like, I don't know. It's like I always believe in the mindset, man. If you could still do it, why stop,
Yeah.
And it's like not like, I mean, he's a millionaire already, a billionaire, but man, like how many they're going to draw. That's probably going to be the most watched fight based on again, pro wrestling. They cut these promos to build for their show to get eyes on the product, and they're going to have 20s of millions of people watching this fight based on everything that's going on online. Life's pro wrestling, man.
Yeah.
You just witnessed it with that,
Yeah.
Is that the viewership they get? 20 million?
I mean, I'm sure. I don't know. I'm just spitting numbers out, but I'm sure it's going to be like one of the most watched fights of all time.
Oh yeah.
It's Mike Tyson, and you have look, Jake Paul's. He's big in the social media world, so he's going to get all that audience. You're going to get a different audience, but again, creating new fans to that world of their art.
Very cool.
That's what we're trying to do.
It's incredible. Yeah, they've got that promotion game down.
Oh yeah.
That's what it is, man. A lot of people it's trying to teach my guys, man. It's like you guys got to be always on social media. You got to be always putting yourself out there. You got to be always like all these photos and stuff. Like, we did the thing at FitCon and they followed us around with the videos and stuff. You're dang right I want that footage. You're dang right I want people to see me slam a guy through a table. Because there's 50 to 100 people following us and they watch that, plus the tens of thousands of people that seen it online. Like that's creating people. That's a new market of new fans that no one probably knew nothing about wrestling in Utah, but now we got their eyes on our product.
Sure.
And that's marketing, man.
That's what it's all about right there.
It is 100%.
Do you have a media team?
We're not there yet. We do. I mean, media team is me and my head trainer Andrew, pretty much. Like, and we have our production guy is Trent Hunsaker. He does phenomenal. Like all this stuff that you guys have in your studio, he's a one-man team doing it on his own, and he's really grown throughout the process of building his own brand in that way. He's just so busy now that it's tough to always get him to do sometimes those events, because through the work that we were able to give him, he's created work for himself. So now he's works full time at Utah State University. So again, we're all in it together. We're all trying to help each other out, So but our own production team, a lot of our guys, it's on your own. I do my own stuff by myself because no one else is going to do it for you. So you got to do it for yourself and take the ball, Do
you have any rivals or people that I don't know, do you have a certain person that you might not get along with a whole lot?
I had a lot of people that don't like me.
Oh yeah.
I think people hate success, you know what I mean? And when you're successful, people will hate on that. And I don't think that they really hate on it. I think it's the fact that you started at the same place they were and you've succeeded where they said it was impossible. So therefore you create a lot of people. I always live in the mindset if everyone in the world doesn't hate you, then you're not doing something right. You know what I mean? If you're not getting people, they're talking about you one way or another, man. They're still talking about you particularly. But I mean, that's just
lonely at the top.
Yeah,
right?
It is lonely at the top, man. You got to surrender yourself.
Hill.
You have to surrender yourself to loneliness, man. You're on the road 99% of the time, So therefore, you just kind of have to learn to just be with yourself and fall in love with yourself, because all you have in this world is you. And I know that sounds very cliche, but it's the reality of it. If you don't believe in you and you don't do the things for yourself, you're never going to succeed. How do you expect your kid to believe in you? You know what I mean? You have to show them. You have to be the example. Kings rule and leaders lead. I lead the way. I'm not a king. You know what I mean?
I love that. I've never heard that. That's really cool.
But it's reality, though. I heard it too, and I was like, man, it's true. You have to be the example, lead by example. A boss can sit there and tell you what to do, but if you're not showing them what to do, and you're not willing to do the work yourself, you're not a good leader,
I think one of the biggest differences too, like you said, between a king and a leader, a king gives orders, but a leader can inspire.
Yep.
And if you can do that, if you can inspire others, all the better.
Oh yeah, heck yeah.
Yeah, it's powerful.
It is. It's powerful, and then it's and then they aspire people, and then they aspire people, and then we're all just kind of growing in this together, Like I said, man, it's leave it better than I found it. That's my goal with this whole thing with Utah wrestling. It's I don't really consider myself to be the king of Utah wrestling, but I do feel I'm the best chance for it to be in the limelight of it, because of the experiences I was able to gain, because of the knowledge I have. I want it to thrive. Again, I want it to thrive for my grandchildren. It's a $1 million business, And I see the tunnel at the end of it. It's okay, If I quit now, then it's like that meme with the diamond guy where he's digging, and one more dig he could finds all the diamonds. Like, that's the mindset I live in, because it's like, if I would have stopped when I got my heart broken and my girlfriend or my wife left me, you know what I mean? I want to be the man I am today. Those things taught me who I am. They're a part of my journey. They're pushing me to that next level. Each new level brings new devils.
Well, I saw that, Manny.
I love it.
Yeah, FitCon. I'm like, oh, this guy, he eats, breathes, and he is wrestling. I got to figure out something to be a part of whatever's going on.
For sure, brother.
And I came up with that at the, within like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Going up there. And
so have you always had that mindset? Or is that something you've had to develop going through these difficult times?
I think it kind of a little bit of both, honestly, because it's like, I think through life you gain experiences, and like I said, back in high school, my high school football coach, this is one thing that always stayed distinct with me. He says, you create your own legacy. And I was like, that's so true. Like, we hold the power to create our own lives and what we want to do. And I just think through life and experiences, man, I think I've had the worst things in the world happen to me, but I've also had the biggest blessings through professional wrestling. So you get your ups and your downs, your peaks and your valleys. And as you grow, if I'm not the same person I was 10 years ago, because if I was, then I haven't done it growing, and I haven't changed at all. Yeah. People change, people grow. In order for them to grow, you have to go through these experiences. So a lot of the experiences that have happened to me, like I said, they suck, but at the same sense, you just kind of lick your wounds and keep going. One of my biggest fears in this wrestling world is like about 7 years ago, I was with a lady and I trained her to be a wrestler. And one of my biggest fears is for her leaving me for someone in the industry. That happened. Okay. What do you do? I'm still breathing. I'm still alive. Yeah. So I have to keep going, because like I have more. My purpose was to be the biggest star of all time. I have to keep going. If I stop now, the last 12 years of my life was for nothing. So you just kind of become numb to a lot of that stuff. You know what I mean? Like, and you just kind of take it and you just kind of keep going. And it really is. Like they said, I've had friends steal from me. I've had, people in this industry will use you for what they want, and once they get it, they'll just kind of go away. Yeah. But again, like, that's where you just kind of know the field you're in, kind of know your surroundings, and you just keep going.
There's no stopping. Revenge is your own success.
Yeah, massive success. Yeah,
I love that.
Like, a lot of people don't realize, like, a lot of my background too is like, for 12 years, like for the last 2-3 years is finally when I became a full-time professional wrestler. But 10 years before that, I was banking's my background, so I was a manager for U.S. Bank, Key Bank, like, you know what I mean? Like, I had to learn real life experiences and use those real life experiences to transition into the wrestling world, and that created me to be a better person in the wrestling world and grow as a person in life.
Very cool.
So, like I said, I always relate everything. My life is professional wrestling. Like, I live for wrestling, and I will die for wrestling, and I will die. I'll success or death at this point,
Well, that's what it takes.
I love it. Yep. Get rich or die trying.
Yeah.
Such a G, Ben.
There's a reality too. If people are like, man, you're rich and famous. I was like, man, no, there's a difference between being famous, because last year I was trending on Twitter and my bank account still didn't reflect anything. You know what I mean? So like, there's more work to be done. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So there's a difference.
And how could we support that, or how do people support that growth?
Basically, probably just following us online. Follow me, particularly Instagram, X, Facebook, at Manny Lemons.
What is your Instagram?
At Manny Lemons. Mine's at Manny Lemons. My wrestling promotion is at Devotion Championship Wrestling. For Instagram, Twitter, X. The school is at the Al Snow Wrestling Academy, Utah. So we got handles for it all. We're on all platforms. Twitter, X, TikTok? Nope. I'm learning TikTok. My boy's teaching me. But you have to learn it, because like, that's the way the world's going. You know what I mean? It's weird. We grew up in that generation where technology, like, our kids grew up into technology. We didn't. We kind of had to learn it as we go,
And we're learning from our kids,
We're learning
right?
from our kids, man. That's so wild.